We appreciate that you turn to us and you trust us to find out what's happening in this community. For 24 years, reporter Alison Grande has been a huge part of earning your trust.
I hate goodbyes. I've been telling people this all day, but tonight we have to say goodbye to her as a longtime colleague, but certainly not as a friend, as Alison moves on to a new challenge after covering some of the biggest stories in Western Washington. In a storytelling career spanning nearly a quarter century of constant change.
In Everett, Alison Grande, KIRO 7 News.
Alison Grande has remained an unchanging, unwavering advocate for people who need help, people who need urgent answers, and everyone who needs clarity in the fog of uncertainty.
The crime scene is 30 miles away in Roslyn. The students are all here.
But the young woman who grew up before our eyes, from representing Seafair to pursuing a career in journalism, is now moving on to a new chapter. This time she'll be on the other side of the mics and the cameras to spotlight the work of the Drug Enforcement Administration.
She's just been there for so long, it hardly seems possible.
Now, Alison was the first reporter live in the first chaotic moments after the Ride the Ducks crash in 2015. She was able to coolly and calmly explain the tragedy and sudden loss of so many young lives, and she tracked that story for years.
As they loaded up one victim after another and rushed them off to waiting aid cars.
But it was in Kirkland
There's so much more to this story.
that Alison's work provided crucial answers when a mystery virus turned a Kirkland nursing home into our country's pandemic ground zero.
2 people tested positive for the coronavirus, and dozens more could be sick.
This story would soon explode into a crisis which would captivate and isolate the entire world within months.
We didn't even know what COVID really was then.
We have team coverage beginning with KIRO 7's Alison Grande. She is live at the center of the outbreak in Kirkland.
She was already starting to stack the blocks up to say, okay, there is an issue here. What is it?
This is my community. I grew up in Redmond. Kirkland is so close. To have this start in our community, we thought it was in China, and then we showed up in Kirkland on a weekend morning and found out that COVID-19 was inside a nursing home. No one knew how it got there.
We learned something. I learned something sitting on the anchor desk from her every day.
Alison was an advocate for families who needed the truth. Months later, they turned to Alison to share triumphant stories of miraculous healing.
I have to say, after covering so many hard stories out of life care, this was a really good one to get to tell.
Over 24 years at KIRO 7, it was usually Alison saying goodbye to reporters moving on.
We're going to miss you. We're so excited for you, and you have a bright future.
Also notice here, Alison really hasn't aged at all. This was 22 years ago, shortly after former KIRO 7 consumer reporter Herb Weisbaum hired Alison as a story producer right out of college.
Hey Alison, it's Herb Weisbaum from the good old days of KIRO 7 Eyewitness News. I know for a second you thought this might be Steve Rabel talking to you. That happened a lot back then, but Steve got to keep the Super Bowl ring and I got the mustache and the hair, so I think I got the better of the deal.
Herb saw big potential in Alison, a great work ethic, a dogged determination to dig for facts, and a willingness to help people.
Anybody can stand up there with a microphone. You got to be able to relate to people, and she had an enormous amount of natural charisma, so you just paid attention to her when she was telling you something.
She's a pro. There's not much more you can say that's better for someone in this business, someone in her position, than they're a pro. And she is that and then some.
Congratulations. I hope you have a good career, and at least you know you're going to get holidays and your nights off. All the best to you.
And she handled the odd moments with humor.
The nasty thing people yell at reporters was one more of those.
Even on her last day on the air.
Oh my gosh, okay, that's great. Alison Grande, KIRO 7 News.
Oh,
I'm going to miss that out cue.
yes.
I'm just going to say one thing. The one thing that I always said before I went out in the field reporting is, let me be the answer to somebody's prayer. And I think over the years, you have such a big heart. You were definitely the answer to a lot of people's prayers. You helped so many people.
That's one part of this job. This is the main part of this job, is going out every day and getting to meet those people on most of their worst days. When you see the news show up, it's not your best day. Often it's your hardest. And so just trying to connect with those people and help them share their story if that's what they wanted to do.
And you earned their trust with their work, and you gave them some comfort as well. The only redeeming thing for us sitting here right now is knowing that you will be able to spend more time with your family. You've left it all on the field, and now a new chapter, and we're going to try our best to be excited for you, even as we feel sorry for ourselves.
Well, I'm not going very far, so
Okay.
I'm going to be very close and stay in touch with all of you, and I'm going to work for the DEA as their communications person to be able to help tell stories about that, and we all know what a big deal fentanyl is with our kids these days
yes.
and trying to keep people safe, and so I'm excited to see what work I can do to help there too.
Absolutely.
Another life-saving cause.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll see more of your beautiful smile too.
And my family will see me at 5 o'clock for dinner. Okay, maybe 6, but still, it'll be nice.
Think of us, please.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Allison, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah,
And thanks to the viewers for trusting us for all these years.
for sure.